Hello and welcome. Welcome back to On the Couch with me, Mahdi. You're on the couch with me, and I'm so excited about having you be with me here on my couch, just chilling, uh, and of course, continuing our conversations that we started with this whole entire series. I want to say thank you for joining, and right now, wherever you are, I want you, if you can, if you have any questions you want to ask or any comments you want to make sure that you email me at mahdi at powerupwithmyd.com. Mahdi, that's Mahdi at powerupwithmyd.com. I love to hear from you. I love to hear any responses. Um, and the idea is to be able to provide this for you as a added support, especially for those people who I'm coaching from around the world. Uh, I want them to be able to go to YouTube and be able to find these videos as an added support to their journey. All right, so what we left off was talking about, we're going to talk about your story. And I wanted you to become aware of what I mean by your story, because I think it's easy to assume that when I say your story, that I'm talking about this idea of, how hard things were for you and how much you struggled growing up, and you grew up poor and you didn't have this and you didn't have that, and or maybe you were abused as a child. And all those things are very important. I'm not trying to make light of them. But what I'm saying to you is this, that everybody has something like that. Everybody's dealing with something. Everybody has a background, has a history. So when I say your story, I'm talking about that moment when you woke up. That moment when you really start understanding how profound and powerful you really were. That moment when you decided to own your power. That moment when you became conscious. That moment when you woke up to the reality that you had been mistreating yourself. That moment when you woke up to just how special you really are. I want to know that story, because that's the story that people are waiting to hear. They're waiting to hear how you overcame great odds to be where you are now. And so, everybody has a different story. I have several stories because I'm hard-headed. So I found myself, becoming conscious about certain things. And then, as you grow, what happens is you rise up to another level of consciousness. And as you rise into another level of consciousness, you experience another level of awakening. Like for every level of consciousness that you experience another level of awakening. And so don't think that just because you had one like aha moment that's the end. There are more aha moments to have. Trust me, there are more aha moments to have. There are more moments that your higher self is setting up for you to get in the future and even in the next moment. So I want to share with you my story about one story of mine where I woke up to a certain level, where I woke up to the reality that there was more to my life than what I thought there was. First of all, let me tell you, I've suffered with depression for 16 years, and I suffered from an early age of 8 till whatever 8 takes you to 8, from 8 years old, 16 years down the road, whatever it takes you. I suffered in chronic depression. I mean, I used to really imagine my funeral and what it would be like to be dead, and thought that people would appreciate me more when I was dead in my coffin, because I could imagine people crying at my funeral, and that gave me a sick sort of high. I got a gratification from thinking that me being dead would be better than me being alive. That's how depressed I was. Sometimes I was so depressed I couldn't even pick my head up from the pillow. Now, in the African American community, we are not at all supposed to talk about being depressed or having any kind of mental illness. But depression is a sort of mental illness, and it doesn't mean that you're crazy. It means that you're depressed. It means that there is something going on inside of you, and if it's not biological, if it's not chemical, then there's something going on with the way you think about yourself, and it's causing you to suppress the energy or the expression, your natural expression. And your suppression of that natural expression will cause depression or push down. So expression is a revealing, a opening up. Depression is a pushing down. So you are doing something through your thinking that's suppressing your expression. So I had been suppressing my expression for years, and I did it because I really looked at how big of the job I knew I was born to do, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. And in fact, I thought I was supposed to do it by myself. And most of my depression came from me thinking that I was going to be in this world alone. And the reality is, people, you are not here alone. Whatever you've come into this world to do, there are people designed, there are people that have been purposed to help you along the way. But you have to be willing to open up to them. You have to be willing to make space in your life for those people who have come into your life to help you achieve what you've come into the world to achieve. So you're not by yourself. But anyway, during those 16 years, I went through some serious depression, man. And I didn't even know if I really wanted to live. Matter of fact, there were many days when I contemplated suicide. Uh, and so when you come from that kind of darkness in your mind to reach the light, sometimes it takes a lot to wake you up. So on this particular experience that I'm about to share with you, this story, which is a part of my life, I had been going through my training where I had met my teacher, Brother Wali Muhammad, Master Wali Muhammad. And Master Wali Muhammad had traveled the world. He was a very wise and dedicated man to a greater school of thought than I'd ever come into contact with. A part of our training, there were 9 brothers in the class, and a part of our training, we had to read somewhere close to 100 books that we had to read, and he would give us assignments, and we met every day. We had class every day. And I remember him telling me on this particular occasion while I was driving home to visit my mother in Port Arthur, Texas for Thanksgiving. And he said, you know, we've been going through some deep things, going over some deep subject matter. So he says, when you're on the road, you know, make sure you pay close attention, don't drift off, and try to stay focused. I didn't think nothing of it. Got on the road, driving to Port Arthur from New Orleans. As I'm driving, I started experiencing something I had never experienced before in my life. And what it felt like the spirit in me, or the energy in me, my being had got jumped out of my body. And I was literally watching myself from the back seat of the car. So I'm watching my body behind the wheel from the back of my head, which, I mean, it was like so crazy. I'd never experienced anything like that before. So here I am sort of watching from a spiritual view myself driving the car, and I can see myself going off the road because I'm going about 90 miles an hour and I'm not in my body anymore, and I'm scared to death, and I start begging, please, please, I want to live, I want to live. It was the strangest thing. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? In an instant, just as fast as it happened, I was back in my body again. And I'm thinking, damn, I must have fell asleep. I must have started falling asleep on the wheel, something. I mean, I didn't know what was going on. So I turned the music up. I rolled the window down, put the window down. So there I am with the window down, music turned up. I don't feel sleepy at all. I feel very aware. I'm driving still up the road, up the highway. I start going a little faster. I put the window back up. I feel like I'm good. I'm up. And here it goes. It starts happening again. This time it happens longer. It's like almost a minute. I'm out of my body. And I've heard people talk about this before. And I was like, I didn't believe in it, but I'm experiencing it for myself. I'm out of my body. I'm seeing myself about to die, seeing myself about to leave this world. And something happens. I mean, I begged and cried out for another chance. I wanted another chance to live. And in that moment, something became very apparent to me that was not apparent in my mind before. And that is the finality of life in this form. That in this particular unique form that I'm in, unique personality and unique everything that makes up my unique self, that I would never have a chance to be this again in this lifetime. And in that moment, in that instant, I realized the finality of life, and I wanted nothing more than to live. I was so thankful to be alive. I was so thankful to be alive. And since that day, I've never looked back. Every day has been a day where I've been thankful for the breath that I take, thankful for the opportunity to be able to live and fully pursue life. And I remember when I finally made it to my mother's house for Thanksgiving, and I walked through the door, she says, "Boy, what's going on with you?" She says, "Look like you've seen a ghost." And I said to her, "Mom, you don't know the half of it." That experience shook me. It shook me out of my depression, and I've never experienced being depressed again. Now, that's my story. That's one of my stories. One of the levels in which I awoken to from being in deep depression for 16 years, coming out of the depression. And that story is an important story to me. And so the whole conversation I've been having with you is about getting you to own the authenticity of your story. People are waiting to hear your story. Not only that, your life is waiting for you to grow into the power of your story, own it, and go forth into the world. My name is Mahdi, and you're sitting on the couch with me, Mahdi, with PowerUpWithMahdi.com. I love to hear from you. I want to talk to you more about this. We're going to go into in-depth detail about the authentic you and how important your authentic self is to the success of your life. Now, most of us don't really even know what authentic really means, what it means to be authentically you. On our next episode, when you join me again with Mahdi on the couch, I'm going to talk about what it really means to be authentic and to really help you define it so you can put your hand on it and be able to live in it. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you and love you. God bless you. See you again on the next episode. Peace.